Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English Club, where learning English is easy and fun. I'm Emily, and I'll be your host today.
Hello, Emily. It's wonderful to be here with you again. I always look forward to our sessions together.
Thank you, Paul. That's so kind of you to say. How are you doing today?
I'm doing brilliantly, thank you. The weather has been absolutely gorgeous here in London, and I've had my morning coffee, so I'm ready to go. How about you, Emily?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for asking. I'm especially excited today because we're going to talk about one of my favorite topics in the English language, idioms and expressions.
Oh, this is going to be fun. Idioms are absolutely fascinating, aren't they? They're also one of the most challenging aspects of English for learners because you can't always figure out the meaning just by looking at the individual words.
Exactly right, Paul. And that's what makes them so interesting. An idiom is a phrase or expression where the words together have a meaning that's different from the dictionary definitions of the individual words. For example, if I say it's raining cats and dogs, I don't mean that actual cats and dogs are falling from the sky.
That would be quite a sight, wouldn't it? Now, raining cats and dogs simply means it's raining very heavily. It's a colorful way to describe intense rainfall. And that's the beauty of idioms. They add color, personality, and cultural flavor to our language.
Before we dive deeper into today's lesson, let's remind our listeners to subscribe to the podcast and click the like button on this video. It really helps us reach more English learners around the world.
And please, if you know someone who is studying English, whether for business, travel, or personal enrichment, share this episode with them. Learning idioms together can be much more enjoyable when you have someone to practice with.
Absolutely. Now, Paul, let's start with some of the most common idioms that our listeners will hear in everyday English conversations. Where should we begin?
Well, let's start with idioms about time, because time is something everyone talks about. One very common expression is time flies. Have you heard this one before, listeners?
Time flies means that time passes very quickly, especially when you're enjoying yourself. For instance, I might say, I can't believe it's already December. Time flies when you're having fun.
There's actually a longer version of that idiom. Time flies when you're having fun. But most people just say time flies, and everyone understands. Another time-related idiom is better late than never.
Oh, yes. Better late than never means it's better to do something late than to not do it at all. So if your friend finally returns a book they borrowed 6 months ago, you might say, well, better late than never.
Exactly. Here's another one. In the nick of time. This means just in time, at the last possible moment. For example, I arrived at the train station in the nick of time. The train was about to leave.
I love that expression. It creates such a vivid image of urgency. Now let's move on to idioms about money, because money is another universal topic. Paul, what's a good one to start with?
A very common expression is break the bank. When something breaks the bank, it means it costs too much money or uses up all your savings. But we often use it in the negative. For instance, let's go to that restaurant for lunch. It won't break the bank.
That's a great example. Another money idiom is cost an arm and a leg. This means something is very expensive. That new phone costs an arm and a leg. I can't afford it right now.
That new phone costs a fortune to express the same idea. And here's an interesting one, on a shoestring or on a shoestring budget. This means doing something with very little money.
Yes. I traveled across Europe on a shoestring budget, staying in hostels and cooking my own meals. It means you're being very frugal and careful with your limited funds.
Another expression about money that's quite useful is to make ends meet. This means to have just enough money to pay for your necessities. With the rise in cost of living, many families are struggling to make ends meet.
That's such an important phrase. Now, Paul, let's talk about idioms related to food, because English has so many food-related expressions.
Oh, this is going to be delicious. Let's start with piece of cake. If something is a piece of cake, it means it's very easy. That exam was a piece of cake. I finished it in 20 minutes.
We can also say something is easy as pie to express the same meaning. Here's another food idiom, butter someone up. This means to be very nice to someone, usually because you want them to do something for you.
That's right. He's been buttering up his boss all week because he wants next Friday off. It's often used when someone is being a bit too nice and their intentions are obvious.
Here's a fun one. Spill the beans. This means to reveal a secret or tell information that was supposed to be kept quiet. Come on, spill the beans. Where are we going for the surprise party?
I love that one. And related to that, we have let the cat out of the bag, which means essentially the same thing, to reveal a secret accidentally or intentionally.
Another food expression is in a nutshell. This means to summarize something in a few words to give the main point briefly. Can you explain your business plan? Sure, in a nutshell, we help companies improve their customer service.
That's extremely useful for giving concise explanations. Here's another one. Take it with a grain of salt. This means to not take something too seriously, to be skeptical about information. He tends to exaggerate, so take his stories with a grain of salt.
Excellent advice. Now, let's move on to idioms about emotions and feelings. These are so important for expressing yourself in English.
One of the most common is under the weather. This doesn't actually have anything to do with weather. It means you're feeling sick or unwell. I'm a bit under the weather today, so I think I'll stay home and rest.
That's such a gentle, polite way to say you're not feeling well. Another emotion idiom is on cloud nine. This means you're extremely happy, euphoric. She's been on cloud nine ever since she got the job offer.
We can also say someone is over the moon to express extreme happiness. Here's another one, down in the dumps. This means feeling sad or depressed. He's been down in the dumps since his football team lost the championship.
These expressions really help us describe our feelings in a more colorful, natural way. What about get cold feet? Do you know this one, listeners?
Get cold feet means to become nervous or anxious about something you plan to do and possibly decide not to do it. It's often used about weddings. They were supposed to get married last week, but the groom got cold feet.
Oh dear, that's quite a serious use of the idiom. It can also be used for less dramatic situations, though. Like, I was going to give a speech at the conference, but I got cold feet at the last minute.
Here's another emotion-related expression, bite off more than you can chew. This means to take on a task that's too big or too difficult for you to handle.
I agreed. That happens to all of us sometimes. Now, let's talk about some idioms related to work and business. These are particularly useful if you use English in professional settings.
Absolutely. A very common one is think outside the box. This means to think creatively, to come up with innovative solutions rather than conventional ones. We need to think outside the box to solve this problem.
Another work-related idiom is on the same page. This means everyone agrees or has the same understanding about something. Before we start the project, let's make sure we're all on the same page about the goals.
That's essential for good teamwork. Here's another, back to the drawing board. This means you need to start over, to go back and rethink your plan because the current one didn't work. Our proposal was rejected, so it's back to the drawing board.
We also have get the ball rolling, which means to start something, to initiate a process or activity. Let's get the ball rolling on this new marketing campaign.
And once you've started, you want to keep the ball rolling, which means to maintain momentum, to keep things moving forward. These sports-related idioms are very common in business English.
Speaking of sports, let's look at some idioms that come from sports. Paul, what's a good example?
Well, we just mentioned getting the ball rolling. Another sports idiom is hit it out of the park. This comes from baseball and means to do something extremely well, to achieve great success. Her presentation hit it out of the park. Everyone loved it.
That's a great one. We also have move the goalposts, which means to change the rules or requirements of a situation, usually in an unfair way. Every time I meet their requirements, they move the goalposts and ask for more.
Here's another, throw in the towel. This comes from boxing and means to give up, to quit. After failing the exam 3 times, he decided to throw in the towel and try a different career path.
We can also say call it a day, which means to stop working on something, usually because you're tired or because you've done enough. We've been working for 8 hours. Let's call it a day.
Now, Emily, let's discuss some animal-related idioms, because English has a wonderful collection of expressions involving animals.
Oh, yes. We already mentioned raining cats and dogs and let the cat out of the bag. Here's another cat idiom. Curiosity killed the cat.
That's often said as a warning. We also have when pigs fly, which means never, or when something impossible happens. When will he clean his room? When pigs fly.
That's such a humorous way to say something will never happen. Another animal idiom is hold your horses. This means to slow down, to wait, to be patient. Hold your horses, we're not leaving yet.
Here's a useful one, the elephant in the room. This refers to an obvious problem or difficult situation that everyone is aware of, but nobody wants to talk about. The elephant in the room was the company's financial problems.
That's such a powerful expression. We also have straight from the horse's mouth. This means information from the original or most reliable source. I heard about the new policy straight from the horse's mouth. The CEO told me himself.
Another animal idiom is a wolf in sheep's clothing. This describes someone who appears friendly or harmless but is actually dangerous or deceptive. It's quite a serious expression.
We also have lighter animal expressions like busy as a bee, meaning very busy and hardworking, and happy as a clam, meaning very